And that's the bottom line. You want a war? You're going to get one.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of The Bottom Line.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah,
Real excited for this one.
This one is in the making for some time. I had to back in September. We had to go on the golf course with this guy, and I had to intentionally play bad golf just to make him feel better.
Oh my! And it was bad. I'm telling you, it was like I am surprised. Coach is coming on as bad as your golf game was.
I tell you what,
I feel bad for him. I feel terrible for him.
Golf is a very humbling sport. I will give you that much. But let's get things going here. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Chuck Long, offensive coordinator of the Arlington Renegades.
Coach,
how are you doing, Chuck?
Doing great, Ed. Eric, thanks for having me on my first podcast with you guys.
Yeah, pleasure's all ours. Trust me. I mean, I do mean that when I say I am surprised you came on after enduring Ed's golf game that day. It was pretty rough.
It was all part of the master plan.
Yeah,
it's going to be executed tonight. So we're gonna get right down to it. So
well, before you get right down to it, Ed, I'm looking at both your backgrounds, your backdrops. And I'm kind of liking yours better than I like Eric's right now. Eric has the Bears, he has the Battlehawks, and he has the Cyclones back there.
Yep. Yeah.
And Ed, you have the Battlehawks, but you have the Hawks. The Hawk guys.
Do you remember signing this back in September?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Coach, I will. In my defense, Coach, and I mentioned this to you prior to coming on. I promise you, after this show, that there will be a Renegades flag hanging up here because we have interviewed last year. Coach DiFilippo, when he was with Memphis, was gracious enough to come on our show a couple times, and we've interviewed Coach Becht a couple times. So I will promise you that there will be an Arlington Renegades flag up here for you.
Well, here's the thing, though, Eric. I have a little Battlehawk in my blood because that's where I started out with Coach Jonathan Hayes back in 2020. So
yep.
I actually have Battlehawk gear in my closet. So
every coach has something from where
I
they've
can't.
been.
I can't
throw them away either. You know,
And
I've coached high school.
If I remember right, he was your tight end back in the day, wasn't he?
He was a great tight end. He played in the NFL for 12 years with the Chiefs and the Steelers, and really in his heyday, he was the best blocking tight end in the league at the time. I mean, he was very physical, and he's a Marty Schottenheimer guy. You guys remember Marty and Marty.
Oh, yeah.
Marty loved guys like Jonathan. So, yeah, Jonathan had a nice career, and then he had a nice coaching career with the Bengals for 17 years, Cincinnati Bengals for 17 years, and then he was a head coach at the Battlehawks and did a great job. And then, COVID hit, and Jonathan is now the athletic director at Cincinnati Moeller High School.
Oh, nice.
That's where he is right now. So,
nice.
We're best buddies.
We had Coach Becht on the show one time, and we talked, I don't know how long was it, Ed? About 45 minutes, not about Coach Becht, but about Rocco at Iowa State.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
It was good, though. So.
I don't envision Coach talking much about Iowa State, but
no.
Hey, cheers, by the way, guys. Cheers, by the way. I got a little...
We don't have to hate each other, Coach. We don't have to hate each other. It's just one game a year.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Hey, Eric, hats off to Iowa State. I run a foundation in Iowa, the Iowa Sports Foundation, as you know.
Yep.
And you're a big contributor to that, obviously, with the Adaptive Sports Iowa.
Yep.
At the golf tournament. But I work with a lot of people from Iowa State. Jamie Pollard and I are really good friends. He bends over backwards for our foundation. He's done a tremendous job. Iowa State's on a trajectory right now. I mean, football wise, basketball. I mean, they're doing a heck of a job.
It's coaching.
It's coaching. I mean, they have some coaches now. They've done it.
Hopefully we'll get to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Deeper later, but to get things started, I know back in September when we were on the golf course, I know I was asking you about whether you was going to be back with the Arlington Renegades as their offensive coordinator, and at that time you had made the comment to me that it all depended on whether Coach Stoops was going to be back or not.
Yep.
And obviously he is back, so I wanted to play something for you to start off with, and then you can kind of comment afterwards and, kind of give us a feeling for the kind of relationship that you have with Coach Stoops.
Okay.
Here it is, courtesy of the UFL.
You guys are part of history, number 200 overall. Very proud of you. And sorry it took so long. Listen, as you guys know, this is the ultimate team game. There isn't anybody in this room doing it alone. No head coach, no coordinator, no assistant coach, not one of you. Football's the ultimate team game. So I appreciate your work with us here. And I'm grateful to all the players I've had through the years and coaches. They're all a part of this. And you guys are.
So I'm sure that was a pretty special moment last season. What do you got to say about that?
Well, it took a while, as I mentioned in that giving Bob the game ball, but for me especially, it was a great moment for me because I was near the beginning of his head coaching career at Oklahoma. He started in 1999. I joined his staff in 2000. Of course, 2000 we caught lightning in a bottle. We went 13-0 and won the national championship. Beat Florida State. Chris Winkie won the Heisman Trophy, and we had this quarterback named Josh Heupel. I'm sure you've heard of him. University of Tennessee head coach now, doing a great job there. And so I was at the beginning of that, and we won it all. We thought after that year, heck, we're going to win it every year. But the 5 years I was there, it was just a magical time. And so I was at the beginning of his wins, and and just to be a part of his 200th. Bob has no ego. I mean, he could have stayed at Oklahoma as long as he wanted to and get the 200 at Oklahoma, but he just decided, you know what, it's time for me to hang this up at Oklahoma and have somebody else do it. And anyway, to be a part of his 200th victory, I mean, who would have ever thought that
Right.
we'd be in this league called the UFL later on, and here I'm his coordinator, and he wins his 200th this past year. To be a part of that, I have a picture with the football on my wall right here next to me. Just a really proud moment for me to be a part of his 200th victory. And it doesn't matter where you are coaching; it's just being part of it has made it very special.
What when it comes to Coach Stoops, I mean, obviously, you don't have to be a fan of the NFL to know who Coach Stoops is.
Right.
Talk a little bit about your relationship as the offensive coordinator with Coach Stoops and kind of the difference between what you do and then what Coach Stoops has to do and kind of what he is to the team compared to what you are to the team.
Well, our relationship goes all the way back to our playing days at Iowa. So we go all the way back to 1981. It's funny, in 1981, he was a junior at that time, a player. He got up in front of the team, and I'm just a young greenhorn freshman. And he got up and made this speech that was just so incredible. I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, you could see the leadership qualities or feel them even back in 1981 when I was a freshman. Little quick history. We went to the Rose Bowl that year in 81. We broke through the Michigan, Ohio State stronghold of the Big Ten. They had gone to 15 Rose Bowls in a row, one or the other. Iowa was the first one to break through and go to the Rose Bowl besides those two under Hayden Fry, and Bob Stoops was one of our captains. So I knew how special he was then. And then, of course, he went on his coaching career. I went on my playing career. And then, lo and behold, we're together in Oklahoma. We did what we did there. He made me coordinator. He had enough confidence in me to make me the coordinator for the last 3 years that I was there, the official coordinator. And, this whole business is about relationships, guys. I mean, it's who you know. It's not what you know. There's plenty of coaches out there that know a lot. It's just coaches need to trust you. And Bob always has trusted me and enabled me to do what I want to do with the offense. He's, he has his ideas and everything, and that's okay for a head coach to be able to do that. And we've used his ideas, but he's always been one to let us coaches coach, and he's always been that way with me. And he brings me to Arlington, last year and did the same. He's the same way. He said, he calls me Charlie. He goes, Charlie, you handle it, do what you got to do and just move the football and score. So anyway, but it's a great trust factor we have with each other for sure.
So then he pretty much gives you the latitude, the rope to basically put the game plans in place that
right.
you want for each game, huh?
He does. Yeah. He pretty much says, hey, you guys, he'll give us the practice schedule, of course, how he wants it all set up during practice. But as far as scripting, yeah, we do all the scripting and he's good with that. Now, again, he's a football guy. Now he's more of a defensive guy than he is an offensive guy. But he does. He sends me football plays every day, so I have a whole library of plays that we're going to run this year. But I don't know if we can get to all of them because he sent me so many. But anyway, he's still engaged, and there's a lot of football in his blood still, and he loves doing it. So he has gotten more versed with the offensive side of the football.
So give us a look. Okay, let's fast forward now. It's game week. Give us a look behind the curtain at when it comes to putting the game plan together for the team that you're going to be playing that week. kind of give us a progression of what happens during the week, but then after that, we'll get into how that can all change, soon after the game starts. But kind of give us a rundown of what a typical week looks like for you.
So, after the game's over, so we bring the players back the next day, and we grade the tape as a staff before they get there. So we have our grades for our positions, the pluses and minuses, et cetera, all of our notes. We bring the team in, our offensive team. We watch it usually we break it up and watch it, separately with our position coaches. But, there's only 3 coaches on each side of the ball in UFL. So you have to be really creative in how you watch tape. So sometimes we combine, like tight ends and running backs have to be together because there's only one coach coaching both of them. And then we have the quarterbacks and receivers in one room. So we watch the film there, and the offensive line goes with our offensive line coach is how it usually works. So we watch the game tape. We put it to bed, as they say in the coaching vernacular. And then they have the day off the next day, and then that's all game planning for us. So our game planning is starting with 1st and 10. We call it mixed downs, 1st and 2nd down, and then we dive into a little bit, maybe 3rd and medium, okay, and then and that's about it on the first day of practice. So it's like a 1st and 2nd down, and maybe a little 3rd and medium. The following day, practice day, that's how we break it down by situation. The following day, now we'll get into short yardage and goal line. Red zone, short yardage, goal line, and 3rd and long. Okay, we'll get into a little bit of that. That'll be the next day, and then the final day will be kind of put it all together. Gimmicks, exotics, as Hayden Fry used to say. Your Hail Mary package, at the end of the half or end of the game, just little reverses, tricks, anything like that. As you guys know in the UFL, the 1, 2, and 3 point plays, you got to practice those. So we do that in one day. Now this is during a practice week. We've already worked a bunch of that in training camp already. So and then we walk through the 4th day. So you got your 3 days that I talked about. First day, 1st and 2nd down, 3rd and medium. 2nd day would be red zone, goal line, short yards, 3rd and long, and then we get in just a whole overall move the ball down the field. Just cover everything, and then we walk through that 4th day before the game. It's basically how it works. And you have to break it down that way because otherwise you're going to miss something. You have to make sure you're getting all those situations on the field. And then we have, and part of that's coming out too from the goal line. Now that's very rare, so you don't spend as much time on that, but you have to spend a little time on that in case they pin you down deep with the punt or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's all situational when you go through the week for sure.
Okay, so you've gone through the week now, and it's like you say, it's situational. Now you get to the game, and so many times when you watch the game, it seems like that first drive. I always call it the first scripted drive that all teams put in place, and sometimes you go right down the field and score, and you think, holy cow, this is easy. But then that's where the real cat and mouse game starts, where the other team starts making adjustments. So you as a head coach, or not a head coach, but the offensive coordinator, when they start adjusting to what you did in the first drive, you've spent the whole week putting your plan in place. How does that plan always continue to stay in place? Or is there just times that their adjustments are so good that you just take the bag and throw it out and say, okay, here we go. And you come up with plan B?
All of the above, Ed. All of the above. Everybody thinks they're a play caller until you call plays. Okay.
Right.
Calling plays is not easy. So I've been in those situations where, your game plan it's beautiful. I mean, it's like Mozart. It's like, it's just flowing so nicely. Now we script the first 16. Okay. So I chose 16 because I wore the number 16. It has no rhyme or reason. Just that's some do 20, some do 12, whatever. So we do the first 16, and let me tell you, there's time. Okay, here's something for you guys. The goal is to score on 50% of your opening drives throughout the year. And that includes a field goal. Okay. So that is the OC, offensive coordinator's offense goal, to score 50% of your opening drives for the year. If you're doing that, you're scripting well. We are actually below that, believe it or not. But anyway,
but that's the goal.
that's the goal. But there's times where that first 15 is flowing really nice. And there's other times, guys, where I look at my game sheet and there is nothing working. Not a thing's working. I had the benefit of Luis Perez. Luis could get me out of jams all the time. Okay. And I gave Luis a lot of flexibility to get where you need to get. And that's why we were a good offense. So we led in a lot of categories, especially in the passing game, because of him. So I've had the benefit of him, as a quarterback last year that really knew what he was doing. He's one of those guys that, I got you, coach. Don't worry, I'll handle it. So he made those first 16 right. You know what I mean? He made it right. But take him out of the equation. Yeah, there's those times where, it's not going well. I mean, and then like you said, at the first 16 may go really well. And then the key is, and I got to give him credit. You know the name Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson was at Oklahoma with me. He was the OC at Oklahoma after I left under Bob, took him to a national championship. Indiana head coach. Then he went to Ohio State with Ryan Day. You know that name?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin is one of the smartest minds in all of college football that I've ever been around. He said this, Chuck. He said, look, you get that first 16, don't try to get all the way through. You may get hot through 10, go back to the beginning and start over. I said, really? He goes, yeah, go back to play 2 and start there if you want. And so I started to do that because he said his whole point was too many coordinators want to get through all their plays.
Right.
And defensive coordinators will tell you guys that. Offensive coordinators get bored. They want to get through all their plays, but they never go back to the ones that work. And so he taught me, go back. If it was hot, go back and start over. They won't know the difference. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I would do that. I learned to go back and teach myself to do that, and they worked again.
We had a quick question here, Coach, from one of our listeners. Says, in the UFL, what DC do you fear or maybe respect the most? Like, you're getting a game when you're playing this guy. Not disrespecting anybody, but just like, which one really pops up to you?
I would say right off the top of my head, it would be San Antonio's defense because it's Wade Phillips.
Right. I was thinking you were going to say that.
Yeah. I mean,
and you just got a lot of San Antonio fans right there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Wade's, been in the NFL. He's in the NFL for 40 plus years. I mean, he's a good, and he has a stamp on it.
One of the things, Coach, that I noticed about San Antonio, because I want to pick your brain about this,
Mm-hmm.
was their team speed on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you as an offensive coordinator, when you're playing San Antonio, because I noticed it more with San Antonio than maybe any other team. St. Louis with Mike Rose in the middle, there's different things. But with San Antonio, I noticed the team speed. So as an offensive coordinator, when you're playing San Antonio, now what does that click in your mind? Like, what does that change for you potentially?
Well, they were tough to score on. I mean, they weren't a big blitzing team, but they just, you had to work the ball down the field. When you got to the red zone, it was really tough to score. I think they were the best red zone defense in the league, if I wasn't mistaken. And they was very sound. Like you said, really good up front. They had really good. What I noticed in UFL is that front four. You have a good front four, you got a chance, right? And they were just solid up front, and their front seven was good, but their front four was really good. And they made you work all the way down the field. They're very smart in what they did. It was hard to trick them. I think we scored 15 points each game against them, 15 each. We just had a hard time scoring, and that's why they're in the championship game. Birmingham's defense was good too.
You got to say really good coach, because the one sitting to your right, he's a Birmingham fan, so you got to say really good.
Well, the guy I have really high respect for is Coach Johnson, the D-line coach for Birmingham. He's really good. I mean, their front four, they rush the passer as well as anybody in the league, And anyway, I would say Birmingham's D-line is really good, and because they're well coached there. Bill Johnson's his name. You know that name, guys, right?
Yep.
I mean, Bill's been around. I think he was with the New Orleans Saints when they won the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But a lot of these guys are longtime NFL guys, so I get a kick out of that. I'm like, man, I'm facing all these old NFL guys that have been around the block for a long time. It's a big challenge for me and our offense, and sometimes it doesn't always work. They kind of take me to the woodshed, say, "Hey, youngin." Hey, rookie or whatever, we've been around a little bit, you know what I mean? So I would say San Antonio is probably the one that gives us the most fits for sure.
They're very active. That front four is very active.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So one of your super fans, Marco, is shouting out to you. I'm sure you've probably seen him before.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've seen him.
Here's old Marco. I love Marco. All right, Marco. Thanks for watching, Marco.
So during the game, when things aren't going so well, or you're playing San Antonio's defense like you talked, and things are just not going real smooth, do you pretty much have autonomy up in the booth calling your plays, or do you start getting people chiming in, other coaches chiming in, trying to give you suggestions on what to try?
Our staff has been really good that way. They give me suggestions at the right times, and it's usually in between series when the defense is out there. We have a really good staff. Jonathan Heimbach, our offensive line coach, Reggie Davis, our running backs coach. Those guys have been around. I mean, they have great experience. I am not a stubborn guy now, and they'll tell you that. I'm not married to a system in terms of, okay, you're going to do this my way or the highway. I've never been that way. I've always been, okay, who are our players and what can they do the best, and let's cater to that. Let's see what they can do best, and let's do that. And I also give those guys, flexibility. They come up with all the run game thoughts. They come up with protection thoughts, and I've always been this way. I start with the offensive line coach. So Coach Heimbach, our offensive line coach, I'm going to say, hey, what are you comfortable with and what are you not comfortable with protection-wise? And we were the best team in the league in not giving up sacks. I think we only gave up 6 sacks for the year, so which was number 1. So if my offensive line coach says I'm not comfortable with this, the play is out. Right. Even if I like the play, it's out. So I'll always lean on him first because he's got 5 guys he's got to deal with up front with a lot of different looks. And if he's not comfortable with something, it's out. It's not worth it. Why browbeat it? Why push it? Why force it when it's not going to, when he's not comfortable with it? So it starts there with the old line for me, but I am not afraid to use any of their ideas. But both of those guys are exceptional at suggestions and when to give me them. And they do not do it right as I'm calling the play. You know what I mean?
Right.
They'll do it in between series. We'll talk, and we'll always kind of talk the next 2 or 3 plays coming out of the gate, coming out off the sideline. We do that every time. So, I think we have really good synergy and we have good chemistry, and it's a good flow for sure.
So I got to ask you about the one play that gets called that I'll never understand, and I'm going to let you tell me if it's actually a design play or it's just you didn't have enough time to come up with another play. So oftentimes, and God, I'm a Minnesota Viking fan. We won't get into it, but one of my worst plays is the handoff straight up the middle that gets nothing. And it seems like such a wasted play. So you tell me, what are you trying to accomplish with that play call?
Well, you talk about the inside zone, Ed.
It's just basically the quarterback turns around, gives it to the running back, and he leans into the middle of the line for nothing. It just seems like such a nothing burger.
Like a short yardage play, Ed? You're talking about like a short yardage?
But it can be like at midfield.
Yeah. It can be,
First and 10.
Yeah, 1st and 10,
Let me answer that. By the way, are you a Minnesota Viking fan, Ed?
I've been a Viking fan for 52 years.
Kevin O'Connell, we coached him at San Diego State. So your head coach at Minnesota, I coached him. He was my first quarterback as a head coach at San Diego State.
So have you put your finger on what happened at the end of this season then?
Well, I don't think I thought Darnold had a great year. He just didn't play well in those 2 games.
Yeah. Well, we won't waste time on the Vikings.
Yeah.
I'm still not over it, so I don't want to talk about it.
And he'd be the first to tell you that. He just didn't play well. But I thought they had a tremendous year up to that point. But anyway, hey, I'm a Lion guy. Look what happened to my Lions. We had a home field advantage for the first time in history.
But back to the philosophy of leaning into the line for no gain.
We just get stubborn. We think, all right, we can get a yard out of this. Come on. With our offensive line and the push and, if it's a short yardage, 3rd and 1, come on, we can get this. We just get I don't want to say the word stubborn. We just feel like, hey, we're strong enough and powerful enough to get this yard or 2 right now. Okay?
I will give you that on a 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
But when it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10 and the play gets run, it's like it
Yeah, well, your inside, the answer I can give you, there's more inside run action in a playbook than there is outside run. So what we feel as coordinators is if we do an inside run, at least we won't lose yardage.
Right.
If we go to the outside now, there's a little bit of risk involved, like a power sweep or an outside zone, they can penetrate fast, these D linemen, and all of a sudden you're -3. You're second and 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing with coordination. That's a good question, Ed. The whole thing with coordination is staying ahead of the change. You've heard that a million times, right? But it's so true. If you look at a study in professional football, if you're getting behind the chains and you're second or third long, the conversion rate is like 10%. You know what I mean? You're not going to – Sean Payton once said, once you get to 3rd and 15, you might as well punt the ball, okay? I mean, it's just our biggest fear is lost yardage because it's hard to call plays on 2nd and 13, 2nd and 15, 3rd and 12. Those are hard to call. So why do we go up the middle? Because we at least think we're not going to take any lost yardage play. We can negotiate 2nd and 9. I'm okay with 2nd and 9. I can work it. I can work a little quick slant to get us to 3rd and 4. Okay. I can get us there. Coordinators always want to be in the third and short, third and medium world. Third and 8 plus. Now we're scrambling a little bit. I'll be honest with you.
Doesn't it help? You know, I've obviously not been a coordinator in your situation, but I have been a coordinator. And to me, it was always like, there's some plays that you call just to keep them honest.
Right. That too.
You know, you keep them honest. Like, you know, you're going to have to defend this middle. If you start getting sloppy, we're going to beat you up here.
Exactly. And that was my second point. That's a good point, Eric. You have to run those plays to keep them honest because you want them to make them think, oh, they do have inside zone. Okay. They do have it. We better be sound in the middle here. You know,
yeah,
that's good. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's right. So perfect world, you go into a game with inside zone, mid zone between the guard and tackles, and then outside zone outside the tackles. Now, that's a lot of ball plays in a run game. So usually coordinators pick 2 out of the 3. So when they go into the games, they say, okay, let's run inside zone and outside zone. Or they go into the game and say, let's run mid zone and outside zone. Getting to all 3 is hard to do.
So we had a question, Coach, that kind of piggybacks on that. It says, is there enough time in a day to scout and evaluate, you know, the talent with such your small staff? So like when you're scouting a game, like you said, there's 3 of you. And you just said you got to pick 2 out of the 3 zones. Like, how much pressure does that put on you guys, you know, as an offensive staff of the Arlington Renegades to really be able to put it all together for the game on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Oh, it's challenging. I mean, we don't have the analysts, you know, we don't have any of that. So we have 3 on offense and 3 on defense. I mean, that's our staff. So we have to be very diligent. Like me as a coordinator, I have to be very diligent about, we do a lot of self-scouting, we do more self-scouting. But as far as scouting other teams, it's really what we see on film that week. That's really that. And then we have a general manager. Each team has a general manager, you guys know, and he does all the legwork on the personnel of the teams. So we rely on those general managers. In our case, it's Rick Mueller to give us a scouting report on each player or each starter on that team. Okay. So we do have that capability, and that really helps out a lot. No question about it. But as far are we like an NFL team? No, we're not even close.
But, so leading up to the season, though, you know, as Bill Parcells wanted to say, you know, I want to be able to shop for some of the groceries. So when it comes to you, is the roster pretty much set and then they tell you what you got to work with, or do they allow your input to kind of bring in the certain type of player that you're looking for to make your offense work?
Good question. In our case, I've looked at Rick Mueller, our general manager. He'll have us look at players, but we put a lot of trust in him. I mean, he's been in the league, he's been in the NFL. He knows what to look for. I put a lot of trust in him personally on quarterbacks and receivers. So we, at least on our side of the ball, we leave it up to him to bring in the players, and then we may recommend, or we may look at he may say, hey, take a look at this kid and see what you think. And then I'll say, usually in Rick's case, I'll say, I like the kid. I mean, I know how good he is, and we'll like the kid. So to answer your question further, Ed, then we find out what we have when we get there, and we adjust accordingly. As I said, a while ago in the podcast, I'm not married to this, we're going to do it like my way or the highway. Okay, what can they do best? And let's put them in those positions. So that's what training camp's for. That's what we figure out in training camp.
Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say, why don't you pop up the power rankings we posted a couple weeks ago, the preseason power rankings, and show Coach what we're dealing with.
You're going to put me under pressure now, Brett?
Well, I'm the fellow that put this together, so if it doesn't go right, it's on me. It's not on you.
I got to find it. I got it. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
That's what we're looking at.
This was the way too early power rankings that Brett put out. And you'll see that the logo that he used for the power rankings is going to lead into his second part of the question, but I'll let Brett take it.
Okay.
So, of course, Coach, I got you guys back in the playoffs. You unfortunately lost quite a few close games last year to field goals, and I've got a lot of faith in Perez and you coaches that have been with the team for a while. I'm a big spring football fan, big Birmingham fan, so I really got the spring football. I've watched football my whole life, but I really got the spring football addiction when the AAF came in 2019, which Luis was the quarterback for the Birmingham Iron.
Right.
So I've got quite a bit of confidence in you and Stoops and the other coaches there. And you've got a quality team there and keep up with all your signings. And that's why I really feel like you guys have a good shot at getting back to the playoffs this season. I mean, got St. Louis ahead of you. You guys were this close to beating them in St. Louis last year, DC, and a couple other games that literally could have went either way. The Michigan game. And I anticipate you guys to get the W's this year in those particular games. Now, what Ed mentioned on that logo, do you have the other post, Ed?
Yep. Hold on a second here.
Hey, Brett,
Let's put this up.
Brett, can you go ahead and put us in the playoffs right now?
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to Moose next time he's in Birmingham, and I'll have my people get with his people. I'll make it happen. And I look forward to seeing you in Birmingham this year.
Yeah. We're going to Birmingham. I've never been to Birmingham, so I'm excited to go.
It's a neat little new stadium that UAB plays at. It's a nice little facility. It really is.
Oh, good.
Wanted to go over these game day themes. Now, first thing I noticed is all the other teams put their game day themes out ahead of Arlington.
Okay.
Waited about a week, and all of a sudden this pops up, and there wasn't a whole lot said about it, except for if you look at the very top on the first game day, it says Return of the Bandit.
Okay.
Well, I looked and looked and looked forever to find one of my Bandit hats because that is a fantastic logo. Could not locate it, so I threw on a UFL hat. So there's some rumors going around. Return of the Bandit. You got it on merchandise. You guys have it at the stadium, but for some reason, and I get there with maybe some legal difficulties with that logo from XFL 2020. What's Return of the Bandit mean for the first game night thing?
Hey, Brett, I have no idea.
That's what we were thinking. But then he'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, maybe I know something, maybe I don't. But
Brett, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm a coach. I'm a coach that's buried in game planning. I don't know what theme is going on, what day.
Right.
I tell you what, on game day at home, I get up in the box and I see what the theme is. Okay, we got motorcycles rolling down the field.
Right.
You know, okay, we got The Rock out there, you know, Dwayne Johnson. Okay, we got, you know, I don't know what's going on. But, Brett, my point is don't ever ask the coach what the theme of game day is.
Well, my question was, is the Bandit logo coming back or not? Which you probably do not know the answer to
I
that
have no
question.
idea. I have no idea.
So let's do this.
I will show up on that day and find out myself. How's that?
Ed, throw the schedule up there and let's ask Coach what he thinks about the schedule. Have you seen the schedule, Coach?
Yeah, I have the schedule.
So I want to pick
We have 4 out. I think
there it is.
The first 5 at home.
So
and then we're road warriors that second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look at that schedule,
yeah,
as the offensive coordinator, you know, obviously the home heavy first half of the season sticks out, and then the road heavy second half. You know, as an offensive coordinator, it is the schedule, but you know, is there some? What does that say to you? What are you saying as a coach to that? I know you got to play the games, but like, what are you saying there? Is that something you like? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters. You know, in our league, I don't think it matters because everybody travels, right? I mean, we're all housed in the Dallas area. So when we play at St. Louis, well, St. Louis is getting on the same plane as we are. Airplane.
Right.
When we play at DC, well, DC's getting on the same plane as we are. They have to travel too. So it's not like your typical scenario of the NFL or college football where you're actually have, you know, you're at home and you're rested at home and you're waiting for your opponent to come into town. So the UFL is different that way. But no, I personally like going to other stadiums. I think it's really all the stadiums are very unique. I like them all. As I mentioned to Brett, I'm excited about going to Birmingham. Never been there. I haven't been to Memphis in a long, long time. So to me, it's like, hey, enjoy the trip while you're there, right? You know, but no, I don't think it's a big deal. Arlington honestly has more, you know, Arlington and Birmingham have more of an advantage than any. Well, actually, Arlington is the only one that we have the advantage because we have 5 home games right in our home stadium, right? So all the other teams have to travel. We get a kick out of the teams that we play at home. They love it. They love playing us at home because they don't have to go anywhere, right? They love it. They finally get a break from travel. They can't wait to play Arlington at home, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just a little different animal in the UFL, but no, I don't think the road trips are road trips. You know, we're all used to them.
Right. One question here. Another question is, what makes the UFL a special place to coach opposed to the NFL and college football? Because, you know, you've been involved at almost every level, either as a player or a coach. So
here's what I love about it, guys. They all get paid the same amount of money. All right. So you don't have to cater to the $1 million quarterback or the $1 million cornerback or the whatever, you know. And now in college football with NIL, guys, I mean, you kind of have to cater to the superstar there, you know, whether he's doing well or not. What I love about the UFL is everybody's on a level playing field salary-wise, and you don't have to worry about, you know, guys that go to their agents and say, hey, I need some more money and I'm going to sit out, you know, I'm going to hold out or anything like that. It's all it's like the purest form of football as far as coaching, because they're all going to show up. They're all going to show up on time, okay? Because they know, hey, there's a lot of players out there. I mean,
right.
There's a lot of guys that want to keep the dream alive. And I had an old coach a long time ago in the NFL when I was playing there said, there are more good players than there are jobs. And it's a very finite very, 32 teams in the NFL is very finite. And now you have the UFL, which is a nice springboard, hopefully for his guys. But it keeps the dream alive. So they know in the back of their heads, hey, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, they can easily go get the next guy. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of the UFL is they're gung-ho. They come ready to work. They're all getting paid the same. There's no animosity in the locker room. That's what we love about it.
What I, as a fan, and of course, I would consider all three of us UFL super fans. I mean, we do a podcast for the UFL, so I think that counts. The thing I love about it is if a team is, Memphis really struggled last year, and we had Coach DiFilippo on, he was great. But the thing about it is, I don't care whether you're 1-7 or 7-1. Those guys always have something to play for. Yeah,
they do.
You're not going to get the packing in like the NFL. Our season's law, like 1-7 or 7-1. Those boys are giving everything they got, and that's what I love about the UFL.
And that's a great point, Eric. And that's the second part of it is, they play to the final gun of the final play of the final game, no matter what the record is. I mean, we're a great example. What were we, guys? You guys know better. We were 0-6, I think.
At one point.
Yeah, we were 0-6. We finally win a game, but we finished strong. I mean, we beat DC.
You could have very easily been 4-2.
We could easily. Easily. I mean, our games at the end just got really weird, and it just didn't work out. But by the end of the year, I mean, we were good. I mean, we finished strong with a big DC win at the end. When, like you said, Eric, a lot of teams, like in the NFL, when they're way out of it, they're
right.
Done.
I'm not getting hurt.
I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm going to be a free agent, whatever the case may be. But these guys, you're exactly right. They play all the way to the final gun because they want to keep that dream alive, or they want to keep playing. They want us to bring them back. That kind of thing. And
one more play on tape, whatever the case may be.
On tape, and one more year to play the game that you love, rather than go out in the real world. The real world's not as much fun sometimes, So, as we all know, right?
Yeah, so, right.
And they figure that out too. So that's the beauty of it for sure.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to get into, as they would say down south, Luis Perez conversation.
Yes.
Courtesy of the UFL, we will be right back.
This is more than a game. It's passion that fuels us. The action.
My goodness.
The excitement. The pride.
To the end zone. Touchdown.
Where stars emerge.
He got smoked.
Where legacies begin.
You're feeling awfully confident right now.
Where the future of football is taken to new heights.
Touchdown. Bam. He got whacked.
Get ready.
Just bad intentions. Wow.
For more football this spring.
Playing with some swagger.
A new UFL season kicks off on March 28th.
The best of the best is coming together. There's no more what ifs. A long one lead now.
Ready to shut it off. I'm number one in the building.
There's no more talk. Put up or shut up. We'll see who the top dogs is now.
Strap it up and line it up.
Joining forces means more power.
Delirium in D.C.
More potential. More reach.
Unbelievable.
Look for a chance to play ball, man. Chance to show that you still got it.
The hunger is unreal.
Helmet goes on, nothing else in the world matters.
Tell them I'm ready. Whenever they walk, I'm ready.
The league that pushes the envelope and opens the door to living the dream.
I've been an underdog my whole career.
Football is kind of my last resort. If I could just get this one little break.
Breaks the moment, man. This is as fun as it gets right here.
United, they stand to stake a claim to springtime for America's favorite game. Are you ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
You know we ready. Yes, sir. Ready to run it back.
Hell yeah, I'm ready.
For a new era.
Let's go.
New challenges.
Best in the nation.
A new beginning.
The time is now.
Line it up, Playboy. Let's do it.
I can't wait to see you guys play.
Are you ready?
This is the United Football League.
Just don't blink.
I like
Boy,
it.
your timing is impeccable.
Yeah. Man, I'm fired
Did
up,
you
guys.
see that?
Coach,
I'm fired up.
perfect.
He got reloaded just in that amount of time and sat down.
Let's play ball, guys.
Oh man, I tell you, when I was talking to you at the golf tournament down in Des Moines, Coach, like, you ran into me like, you like the UFL? I'm like, hell yes, I love the UFL. And the thing that I don't understand, I'll talk to some people and they'll be like, oh, spring football, UFL. I mean, I'm like, have you ever watched it? Like, from the fans to the players to the coaches. I mean, if people would just, to me, if you just looked at the coaches, the names of the coaches, it'd be like, wow, I think there's something to this. And then you look at the fans and the super fans and everything that goes along with that. Then you look at the players and, there's plenty of players that are contributing in the NFL this year. And you think to yourself, if you truly love football, how can you not love spring football?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
You guys are like a breath of fresh air. I mean, you guys are in Northwest Iowa of all places and loving the UFL.
Oh man. My Saturday, my weekends during spring football look like my weekends during NFL football.
Yeah.
My wife's like, you do anything? I'm like, well, I got 2 spring football games on today. You better get it done by noon.
Yeah, and I have the luxury of living in St. Louis. So
yeah, and you're in St. Louis.
So most Saturdays and Sundays, I'm tailgating one way or another. So.
One way or another. Well, I will say this, Ed, because I was part of the Battlehawks. The Battlehawk tailgates are exceptional. They are exceptional. It's quite a scene. So. Great fan base down there. It really is a big part of the UFL, and really we couldn't do it without St. Louis because of the fan base down there. So it was really cool.
My first UFL game was the opener last year. I think I got the opener against you guys. Against Arlington last year.
Yeah.
And of course it was a last second field goal, 27-24. But
I still haven't quite figured out how you guys lost that game.
Me neither.
Pretty much in hand.
There's like 3 games last year. We're like, how did we lose that game?
Game, DC and Michigan. You had no business losing either 3 of those games. Yep.
Yeah.
He means that. He means that.
You got some exciting signings here recently. You got Luis Perez back.
Yeah.
You got Tyler Vaughn signed.
Yeah.
You got a couple linemen, Blake Larson and Mark Evans. Blake had a short stint with the Rams and Mark with the Saints. So things are kind of looking up for you. So you're probably kind of feeling like your bag's going to be full when the season gets here.
Yeah, especially with Luis and Tyler. Those are my guys. I'll go into day one and I'll say, hey, guys, I'm Chuck Long. I'm the offensive coordinator here, but Luis and Tyler will coach you this year. Go ahead. Ready, break.
Yeah. So as you've
but those 2 guys I'm glad we re-signed them because they bring so much more to the table than just their athletic ability and what they can do on the field. So, Luis, to give you an example, we game plan together every week. I mean, I think Luis is a future coach.
Yeah. Didn't he coach at the showcase, coach down in Dallas a few months ago? Wasn't he there?
Yeah. Whether he wants to do that or not, he's got a young family, and there's it's a sacrifice, with your family. But if he wants to do that, he will be an exceptional coach. I mean, I have not been around. There's 2 guys I've been around that knew the game more than anybody that I've been with. At the collegiate level, it was Josh Heupel, okay? And he's obviously what he's doing at the University of Tennessee. the other is Luis Perez. Those are the guys that just know the game inside and out. So every week I had so much trust in Luis. I just said, come on in, let's game plan together before you go home. And we'd set up the script for the next day. And I basically asked him, what do you like? Whoever our starting quarterback's going to be, that's what I want to do. I want to do with. I want to say, hey, what do you like? Let's put it in the game plan. Because I believe if you look, I'm not married. There's 2,000 ball plays out there. It's what they're comfortable with, that's going to bring you success. So what do you like? Let's put it in. I'll call it. I have no problem with that. So with Luis, every day we game planned all those situations I was talking about earlier in the podcast to his liking, to what he was good at, what he was comfortable with. And that's why we were successful offensively. And he led in really a lot of categories throughout the year and at the end of the year. So Luis is like a coach on the field. You've heard that before, but he really is. So we'll start with something. I'll start with a play call, and I give him a lot of flexibility to change it, signal. We do a lot of signaling with our wide receivers, so he'll signal out of things, whatever he sees, and I trust that. But the game planning is with him. And then Tyler, our wide receiver, is the same thing, same way. So Tyler will come with certain wrinkles and plays that he likes, or what I like about Tyler, it's not okay, give me the ball. How can I get the ball? He's like, this is what's best for our offense right now that I'm used to, that I can give you and a suggestion. So those two guys that you mentioned are really key for our offense. It's not in terms of not only on the field, but off the field as well.
So having said that, Coach, then having said that, Luis got the name King of Spring for a reason.
Yeah.
Having said that, what do you think, you speak very highly of him. What do you think is the biggest reason why he never made it to the next level?
Oh, a lot of it, Ed, is relationships. A lot of it is somebody knowing him. I do believe given a little bit more time with the San Diego, with the LA Chargers, that he had a shot at that. They brought him in late, and I thought he did pretty good. But I don't know. You just can't put your finger on things or why and why not. But I think in his case, it's just a matter of the right place at the right time, and it just hadn't happened for him yet. And he's getting a little bit older. Let's be honest. I mean, he's getting a little bit older. I think he's going to be 29.
Yeah,
and
I think you're right.
The NFL starts looking younger. I mean, look at these young quarterbacks. Look at Jaden Daniels at Washington right now. I mean, holy cow, what a year did he have, right?
Yeah.
So I think they start looking younger as far as the NFL. Do they look at him as being an older quarterback? I don't know. Usually, most of the time, it's like a coach like me that gets to the NFL as a position coach, and I take Luis with me, right?
Right.
Because I know and I trust him. And my head coach would say, yeah, you bring who you want, and I bring Luis with me. That's how it works in that league. And so it's a lot of it's relationship. Number one, when you're an older quarterback. Anyway, I don't know. It's no rhyme or reason to anything. I will say this. You never say never. Let me give you a great example. Is Kurt Warner.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner called me up. I was an assistant coach. This is a great story. He called me up, and I was an assistant coach. at Iowa, I was a defensive back coach. I was a DB coach for 3 years, by the way, guys, at Iowa under Hayden Fry. Kurt Warner is in the Arena League in the Iowa Barnstormers. He calls me up and says, "Hey, Coach, can I come in to one of your pro days and work out for the pros?" I said, "Yeah. Let me get back to you." I talked to Coach Hayden Fry about it. He said, "Yeah, bring him in." Kurt comes in and he sits the whole workout day because they didn't want to see him. They wanted to see our guys. They did not want him to participate. So Kurt Warner just sits there the whole time. After that workout, I said, "Hey, Kurt, we have another one coming up," because you usually have 2 pro days, right? So I said, "Kurt, come to this one." So he came to this next one. Dick Vermeil happened to be there with his quarterback coach or whoever it was. I can't remember. They had him throw to our defense. We had a first-round draft pick, a guy named Tommy Knight. And so everybody was coming to see Tommy Knight and wanted to work him against receivers. Well, Kurt Warner was throwing it, and Dick Vermeil's like, "Who is this guy?" The rest is history. They signed him to the European League. You remember the European League?
Yep.
And then he's with the Rams as a third stringer or whatever. The rest is history.
That's crazy.
So,
I mean,
yeah. So my point is, who knows? Who knows how it all is going to work out for? I'm hoping for Luis, but who knows? I do know this. Like I said, if he wanted to be a coach someday, he will be a great football coach.
I think for Luis, I mean, and I agree with you. If he could just get to a team that they're looking at him as just a true backup,
right?
Just a true backup,
yeah.
And then he gets his opportunity. That's where I think, unfortunately, I think that's how it has to work for a lot of these guys in the UFL, especially at the quarterback level. Because let's face it, the NFL is just like anything else. And I think that's why the UFL, more guys from the UFL will become more prevalent in the NFL. They don't like to admit when they're wrong.
Right.
Nobody likes to admit when they're wrong.
No.
And so a Luis Perez may have to get his shot as like, hey, he earned the backup spot. And then, because, I mean, let's face it, Coach, I'm sure you watch the NFL. Maybe you don't. I do. The quarterback play is pretty suspect in a lot of situations.
Very, very much so. Yeah, very much. So.
And taking a guy like Luis Perez, even if let's say the Commanders had it, how much Perez has up here just to help a Jaden Daniels?
Yeah,
a kid like that. I mean,
that's the great thing about Luis. He's a team guy. He would help so much with the younger guys. These coaches in the NFL don't realize his mind. He's got a great mind. But if you look at, like you said, Eric, you look at all those quarterbacks around the league and you're like, oh, I'm the same way. Why do they have this guy?
Yeah.
The reason why they have that guy is he has a relationship usually with the coach that's there. They have a relationship somehow, some way, cross paths, or they like them, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I don't know if Luis has I don't know if he has any of those relationships in the NFL where a coach knows about them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So the backups, especially the backups in the NFL, have some kind of relationship with that coach that they're with. And that's what Luis needs at this point in time. If he can have that, he would get to that NFL. He would get there.
So you go back to 2020, of course, with the Battlehawks, and then with Arlington after that. So you've seen the whole progression of the UFL. What's your thoughts on the NFL and the UFL working more closely together? Are you seeing more and more NFL involvement, and what do you think is down the road, potentially?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, if you're in the NFL standpoint, why would you have to do anything? Because you have a league that you can just you'll get all the film. You have a minor league system that you don't have to pay for, right?
Right.
I mean, what to them? They're like looking at it, oh, this is great. We don't have to invest in anything here, and we can watch all these players and see if we like any of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because of that, why would they, okay, we're going to foot the bill on this, or we're going to, spend some money on this.
Right.
When they really don't have to.
Yeah.
Because they got to, like I said, it's a nice situation. It's kind of like the equivalent of a college school, a college, and you have high schools out there that you're recruiting from. Well, you don't have to invest any money in those high schools. You just you watch your talent, you recruit your talent, and off you go, right?
I
don't know. I don't know, Ed. I don't know if there's any synergy that's going to happen in the future. I don't foresee it happening. I do think the UFL is going to survive on its own. You have TV behind it, and I think it's going to go for a while. So, I don't know. The NFL had the European League, and that got dismantled. And so in their view, you guys know the NFL, they're like, hey, we have a very strong, lucrative league right now. And now we have a UFL that we can watch more film on guys.
Yeah. Now we have college and the UFL.
Yeah, we have college and
pump
UFL
guys to us. Yeah.
And we don't have to spend a dime on it, like you said.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So as as we had talked before the show, we was going to try and have you for an hour, which we've gone well over that.
Hey, I think we're going to midnight. Let's go to midnight.
As long as you want to stay here,
I'm going
Coach.
to leave this completely up to you, because we can bring you back another day as well. But
we're happy with you here.
There's two stories that I was hoping that I could get you to tell.
Okay.
But if it's better for another day for you, that's fine. But there's two areas I want to hit on with you yet. The one is I don't want to get real deep into the NIL, but I know that when we talked to you about the NIL back in September, you had a nice story about you, of course, were drafted in the first round of the 1986 draft. So you was talking about your days of the Iowa Hawkeyes, and we were asking you, okay, what were your perks back in those days, being a first rounder for Iowa? But if you want to, if you could oblige and do that, and then there's a story, a good Hayden Fry story I wanted you to tell. But if you have the time, I'll take a quick break and come back.
Okay, yeah, you bet.
Okay, let me take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Okay.
We are back with Chuck Long, offensive coordinator of the Arlington Renegades. We're kind of going into overtime here.
Here you go, Coach. This is I know Brock is I believe he's a Birmingham fan, but he's really enjoying your time here, as are we. So I just wanted to give you a few props there. So
all right, Brock.
So we're going to keep you on as long as we can. So you just tell us when you got to
go. We're good for a little bit. A couple more.
So as we talk about the NIL, we got quarterbacks that are driving around in Lamborghinis and stuff like that. I know 40 years ago when you were a quarterback in the Big Ten, and of course, again, you went in the first round of the 1986 draft for the Detroit Lions. Talk a little bit about the perks that you had as being a potential national championship team back in the 80s.
I'll tell you some good stories. Okay. First of all, the only thing I got at Iowa was free beer. That was it. and it was watered down bar beer. When they give you a pitcher of beer at the bars, you guys remember half of it was water.
Oh yeah.
So I got watered down bar beer and shared it with my guys. Okay. That was it. Let me tell you a great story. So my parents, well, long story short, I was not recruited, and I was basically the first scholarship that was offered to me, and would have been the only one. But Northwestern and Northern Illinois came in later because I was an in-state kid. But so I go to the whole thing was like when I went to Iowa on a recruiting trip and I came back home, and gentlemen, we won the state championship in 1979, Wheaton North High School out of Wheaton, Illinois, in Chicagoland area. And I set an Illinois state record that will never be broken. I threw for -3 yards in that game. Okay. So think about that for a minute. We won the state title. I threw for -3 yards. All right. We ran the football and we played great defense. We beat LaSalle, Peru. Well, I did not get recruited very heavily. So when I went on my weekend to Iowa, I thought they had the wrong guys. Like, are you guys, is this real? I went back home. I flew back home. My dad picked me up at the airport and he said, "Son, how'd it go?" I said, "Dad, I think they've offered me a scholarship." He goes, "What does that mean?" I said, "Dad, I think they've offered me a full ride, room. It covers room, board, books, tuition, the whole thing." He said, "Have they seen you play, son?" Hey, my father was a great guy.
Boy, he beat you down that day, didn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, it was all surreal. It was all just weird because we threw the ball 5 times a game in high school, guys. 5 passes a game, but we were really good. My freshman year, I'm on a full ride scholarship. My parents gave me $50 a month for allowance. Okay, 50. All right. This sophomore girl kind of liked me, and she wanted me to take her out, and I decided to take her out. I picked her up at the nearest. She was in the dorm next to me. It was a rainy night. And I had an umbrella. I brought an umbrella. I was a gentleman. All right. Now, keep in mind, I had $50 a month. So I want to take her down to a date. All right. So we went to this little Italian joint in Iowa City called the Brown Bottle. And the meal cost me $25 total.
Ooh.
So you took her to an Italian restaurant called the Brown Bottle?
Yeah.
Not exactly a creative name for an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. Hey, guys, it's a legendary spot. And
Okay.
there's still one in Waterloo, I think. So I'm stressed out that the bill came, and this is half of my month's allowance, right? And $25 is a good meal. They even gave me a bottle of wine. It was only the drinking age was 19. I was only 18, but they gave me a bottle of wine. It must have been like cheap wine, right? So we get out of the restaurant. We go to the bar, the hot bar, and we stand in line. Back then you had to stand in line to get no bar. We get all the way up to the front. The bouncer says, Andrea, her name's Andrea, you can go in. Chuck, you can't go in. So I said to Andrea, okay, I guess we can't get in. She goes, oh, that's okay. I'm going in. I'll see you later. Thanks for the date. So, I got stood up after spending half my allowance in 1 month. All right. Obviously, I've been scarred ever since. That's why I'm telling you the story. But anyway, I never got anything. But now I was not the starting quarterback then. I became the starting quarterback, and the only thing I got after that was a free beer. I did not have a car until my 5th year. It was a Honda Civic that my dad gave me he was tired of it. He gave it to me. I was in a dorm for 4 years, so I took the CAM bus all over campus for 4 years. So I didn't need a car. I finally lived off campus my 5th year, and I got a Honda Civic from my dad. That's the only car I had.
Oh, man.
So when they brought you into Iowa and you had the reputation of Don Coryell, explain that. Explain that first game when it was time for you to hit the field.
Well,
this was the story you told about the famous white pants.
Oh yeah. So my very first start as a collegiate in 1982, we play at Nebraska, and that's when Nebraska was Nebraska. Okay. They had Turner Gill, Irving Fryer, Mike Rozier. They had all those, Steinkooler, all those guys. So we were a young football team. Now, my whole side of the family is from Oklahoma. Okay. There's 4 generations of Oklahoma Sooners in my family. My parents went to Oklahoma. I was born in Norman, Oklahoma, etc. So I had both sets of grandparents from Oklahoma who grew up with that Oklahoma-Nebraska rivalry, as you guys know. All right.
Right.
And so they grew up with that. So they knew the intensity of that. So I had about 20 family members at this game in Lincoln, Nebraska. My very first start. And so we go out there. We're a young football team, and they were good. Well, it was by far the worst athletic contest of my entire life to this day. I threw interceptions. I fumbled the ball. It was 120 degrees on the field. You could see waves of heat on the field. It was so hot. And it was just awful. We're getting beat 42-0 in the middle of the 4th quarter. And the game's over. I mean, there's no way we're going to do anything. I call a timeout in the middle of the 4th quarter. Hayden Fry always wore white pants and white shoes and a black top.
Yep.
I don't know why he's wearing a black top. It was 120 degrees that day. So we go I call a timeout. I get to the sideline. He goes, Charlie, why are you calling a timeout? Let's get this game over with. It's over with. Let's keep the clock going. I threw up all over his white pants. Right on the spot. He told the trainer, get this boy out of here right now. So he benched me on the spot. Now, I go in after the game. I got a shower. Now I got to come out and face my 20 family members, right? Both sets of grandparents, Oklahoma grandparents. I come out, my little old grandmother on my mom's side, my mom's mom. She comes up to me right away. She goes, Chuck, you don't have to play football anymore if you don't want to. She wanted me to quit right then and there.
You can't beat grandmas, can you?
I said, Grandma. I said, it's only one game. Come on, give me a break here.
Now, Coach, your grandmother had to change her tune. Talk a little bit about the Iowa-Michigan game, 1 versus 2.
Yeah.
I mean, as a player now, switching gears, as a player, like, what was that like? I mean, obviously go ahead, Ed.
Let me preface it before you start. That game, I was drinking champagne out of the bottle, and I had a big old bowl of chocolate chip cookie dough that I was eating raw, and I must have had half the tub during that game. That Iowa-Michigan game I can remember like it was yesterday. Probably one of my best all-time college games ever.
Well, number 1 versus number 2 in the middle of the year, it hadn't happened. I got to get the stat right. It hadn't happened since like the 60s, because 1 and 2 usually happens at the end of the year, right?
Right.
So it's very rare that it happens in the middle of the year, 1 versus 2. If you think about that. So it was like the first time in 30 years that it was 1 versus 2 in the middle of the year. And the whole week was just very surreal. Just, guys, I went to all my classes, by the way. I never skipped class. This may sound corny to you, but I loved going to class. Okay. I loved it.
Yeah, that does sound corny.
Yeah. And I love soaking it all in. I just love it.
Well, you was big guy on campus, though. Right?
True.
Yeah. So I loved going. I just from class to class, I just remember going, oh my God, this is just so surreal. But you can cut the tension with a knife. I mean, media was different. You didn't have social media, of course, but you had the LA Times and the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune and all these newspaper writers in town. So they were all in town all week long, okay? And they were going to those little tiny restaurants around town, and you heard about it. And it just was the campus was just buzzing. And so going from class to class, I remember going into class and the teacher would talk about it, and the classmates would talk about it. And it just was oh my gosh. But leading up to the game, and then Brent Musburger's coming to town. Okay. Era Parsegian, that was the team. They're coming to town. And so, those guys, it's like, those are the big media guys, right, guys? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It's not so much. There's so many today. It's so watered down today. No one gets really excited about it. But when you're on a game of the week and there's only like one game of the week back then, I mean, that was big. So,
and you're what, 22, 23?
Yeah, I was 21 years old,
21.
So, Coach, I had to put this up on the screen because one of our crew that is not on tonight, he's a huge Michigan fan. And so the minute I had mentioned the Iowa-Michigan game, this is what he put up there. So
yeah. Yep. There you go. Now, you asked me for my favorite story. So that's a good segue into this game because it happened in this game. Well, so we get to game day. It's kind of a 2:30 game. So Musco Lighting, you guys know Musco Lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just beginning as a business. So they brought their lights in. They're huge today, and they're out of Iowa, of course. But so they brought their lights in. It's kind of a rainy, misty day. Schembeck, Hayden Fry had pink visitor locker rooms. He painted
I've been in it. It's crazy. It's crazy,
all
Coach.
pink. It's all pink. Okay.
I'm serious. From the sinks to the toilets, everything is pink.
Everything. I'll send you guys a picture. Of it.
It's nuts.
Yeah. So it would drive Bo Schembeck, the legendary Michigan coach, crazy. This pink locker room. And they had a guy named Jim Harbaugh, quarterback. Okay. So they come to town and all the crowd comes early. I mean, usually they're tailgating, they kind of trickle in. They're all in the pregame warm-up. The stadium's full in the pregame warm-up. I mean, they're ready to go with this game. And so Schembechler, and I love Bo. I met Bo when I was with the Detroit Lions. He was a good dude. But anyway, he had his customary Michigan sweater on, his Michigan hat, chewing his gum with his glasses on, his arms folded on the sideline of the pregame warm-up, watching his team warm up. Hayden sends over a fake long snapper and our starting punter right in front of him. And this fake long snapper snapping the ball into the ground, over the guy's head. And Schembechler is just watching this, shaking his head. He finally says, "Hey, Coach Fry." "Yeah? You're not going to have this long snapper snap to your punter today, are you?" And Coach Fry says, "We don't plan on punting today, Coach." And turned around and walked away. And Schembechler was so mad. And legend has it he went up to the locker room with his last speech, and he was throwing garbage cans all over he was so mad. We punted 6 times that day. It was a different battle. But we won in the last second field goal by the legendary kicker Rob Houtland, and it was just one of those. That game when he kicked it through was by far the game where sends chills down my spine even today. It's that game. You can't. It was like a Hollywood script. You can't write it any better than what it did. But that was my favorite story with Hayden and Bo Schembechler.
If you think about it, though, I mean, how many people that can ever say they were ever in a scenario like that? I listen to these stories and I'm just like, holy cow! Like,
number one versus number two.
Yeah. And the atmosphere. I mean, I've been to quite a few games at Kinnick there, and I mean, it's a great football atmosphere, but 1 versus 2 had to be crazy. Yeah. It was by far the game that I've been in, coaching, playing more than 40 years, and there's never been the crowd at the end of that game was unmatched. I mean, it's like the whole crowd spilled over downtown after the game. They just couldn't get enough of it. You weren't worried about your $50.
I got free beer that night. all I got was free beer, guys. That was it.
So when you look at, obviously you were part of college football in the early to mid 80s, and knowing what it looks like then, now we talk about nil, and I'm going to let Brett go a little bit on nil here, but now you see the landscape today. What is it even relatively close in your mind with the way football is today?
I just can't imagine being a college coach right now. I mean, without naming his name, I have a college coaching buddy at University X that last spring, one of his players did not dress for practice. He didn't know, came out in street clothes, and my coaching buddy said, "Well, what are you doing?" "I'm not getting as much money as I need right now. If you want me to stay, I need more money." And he tells me, and he's old school like me, he tells me, he goes, "Chuck, we have to find some money for him. He's going to be in the portal." So that's what you're getting right now. Another example, at University X, a player went to the head coach and said, "I need some more money." Head coach said, "Okay," got him some more money. Then a teammate got as much money So player A went back to the head coach and said, wait a minute, I need more money than he is. I played more. So they gave him more money. And then he went to the portal 3 days later.
Yeah.
So those are some examples of what is going on today.
Coach, I'm 45, but I'm extremely old school about this. I'm born and raised here in Tuscaloosa. I'm literally 5 minutes from Bryant-Denny Stadium. So of course I'm a huge Bama fan, and you hear a lot of stories knowing certain people here in town. And I know why, and I don't blame Nick for quitting. Look, Nick Saban's an absolute workaholic. He's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably had another 5 years in him before he even entertained retiring. But finally, the Neil in the portal finally got the best of him.
Mm-hmm.
All these other stories I hear, and even Coach Gundy at Oklahoma, had mentioned Oklahoma State, that agents are contacting these coaches sometimes every other week asking for more money, and Gundy finally told them, said, negotiations over, the portal's closed, we renegotiate next semester.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see how in the world this is sustainable. I know we live in a different world now. Everything's so expensive, everything's different. But my whole thing was, look, increase their stipend, because they used to get a stipend, free meals, free education, free housing. Increase their stipend 2 or 3 times or something, what they're getting now. But there's no way. And it came out. I actually shared it, guys, on the bottom line, I think yesterday. Ohio State operated at a $30 or $40 million deficit last year. Okay, they won a national championship. But again, how is this sustainable? There's no guardrails. And right after Nick retired, he's sitting next to Ted Cruz before Congress talking about how something's got to be done. Something's got to be fixed. And again, this is partly why I'm such a big spring football fan, because I'm like you. When I post it, when I share it, when I go around town, I've always got my spring football gear on. And I tell them, I said, trust me, just give it a chance. It's the purest form of football now, other than high school ball. But now high school ball, they're letting them transfer and go here and go. It's just, to me, it's just madness. And me being old school, I argue with some of the younger cats in my SEC group. Well, they earned it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to change up my language a little bit, but I said, a 17-year-old kid that's a grown man playing against kids. They hadn't played college ball yet. In my opinion, they hadn't earned, what?
Yeah.
And I don't see, you got any ideas? I know they're talking about trying to get a commissioner, and a lot of other coaches are saying Nick Saban would be perfect for the job because he loves college football. And this is, as a fan, it doesn't mean as much to me anymore as it did 4, 5, 6 years ago. When is enough? And do you think at some point this will get regulated? Because I couldn't imagine being a coach or coordinator and having to constantly re-recruit your players every few months. It's just madness to me.
It is. And I love the fact, Brett, that you said that the UFL is the purest form of football, because it really
I tell everyone that.
It really is right now.
Yeah.
To answer your question, it's kind of the real estate equation when you sell your house, right? Or when you put your house on the market. How much is your house worth? It's whatever the next person wants to pay for it.
Right.
And so that's what it is. There's always going to be that booster that says, you know what? We
really need this guy.
I got a lot of money.
Yeah.
I got money to burn. I got tons of money. And we really need this guy to make our program. I'll give you the money. So as long as you have that in this free market, I don't think it's ever going to stop.
What I know some very, very wealthy people. I know people that's been successful, that's failed, that's come back, in the business world. And one thing I've learned about most rich folks that I've encountered or wealthy folks, you don't get rich or wealthy by being free with your money.
Right.
And what I'm saying, everybody's got a bottom to their kitty, so to speak, as we say in the South.
Right.
And all right, say there's 10 or 15 teams each year where they've got X amount of boosters. We're going to pay, 30 million payroll, 40 million. Then it's going to get up to 50 million. At what point does those other 10, 12, 4 teams that haven't been able to buy a championship yet? I mean, at what point do they just throw up their hands and say, this just ain't worth it? Do you think this will get regulated and there will be a salary cap at some point, or what do you?
Well, I think that the future is contracts with kids. I think they're angling and working towards like old time the old time scholarship guys. When I came out, you signed a 4-year deal, and then it became 4 1-year deals. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to get to a point where they actually sign these kids like an NFL guy to 2-3-year contracts where they're locked in. That's what's going to happen, but they might have to pay a lot of money to do that. So, yeah, Brett, it's a slippery slope. It's hard to, like I said, as long as you have those guys out there, look what Ohio State did with a $20 million roster. Look what Texas A&M did. Well, there's 2 examples right there. Texas A&M spent $30 million on the recruiting class several years ago, didn't pan out.
Right.
Jimbo Fisher got fired.
Right.
Ohio State, $20 million. Well, it worked out. So head coaches, in my opinion, at the collegiate level need to be not X's and O's guys, but wheeler and dealers, guys that know how to wheel and deal, how to sell, how to let the coaching staff do the X's and O's part.
Right.
I've got to go out there and shake hands and kiss babies.
Right.
That to me is the future of college football head coaching.
I agree.
Nick Saban, he got out when the getting was good. I mean, he knew it. He's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm an X's and O's guy. I'm not going to do that. Credit to him.
Yeah.
Hats off to him. But the future, Brett, to me, is those guys that know how to make those deals.
Yeah, that's what I said, is that they're pretty much just salespeople now. Let me ask you one more thing, and I'll dip out because I know Ed's got something. All right, say on player X at school X, all right, he come back to renegotiate his deal and he got more money, but then he just ups and leaves. And then you've got these players that are now getting NIL money, but they're opting out of the bowl games. Is there nothing in these agreements legality-wise to where if you just you can't just pick and choose what games you're going to play in? Can they request? Can they legally get their money back that they gave to that kid that just up and left the portal? I mean, is it truly just the wild, wild west right now?
It's wild, wild west. According to one of my coaching buddies in the profession at the collegiate level, he told me a month ago, it is the wild, wild west. He said, that's the example I gave you earlier. He said, I can spend 3 hours telling you what's going on. But, yeah, that's what it is. These kids are getting upfront money, and it goes in their bank account. And if they never play it down for that school,
too bad.
Too bad.
How scary
that's a definition of insanity.
Yeah.
How scary does that have to be from a college perspective to approach a 17-year-old kid and offer him 6 or 7 figures?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's nuts to me.
And they can't handle it. They don't have enough maturity to handle
it.
No.
That's the thing. The money's gone in 3 or 4 years. They got nothing to show for it. I mean, a lot of kids, I'm sure some, have some good influences with their parents and things of that nature. But the people that are investing this money into the program are out the money.
Here's one little silver lining, one little one. Well, it could be a lot. It depends how you look at it. It actually will keep kids in college. So instead of these kids trying to leave early, like in basketball, for example, these kids have figured out they can make more money at the collegiate level than they can at the professional level because they may never get there.
Right.
So it actually keeps kids in college longer. And we all 10 years ago wanted to say, hey, let's keep them in college longer, right?
Yeah.
So
what scares me the most, Coach, and because I'm obviously an Iowa State fan and Ed's an Iowa fan, and what scares me the most is we've got, in my opinion, a great football coach.
Yeah.
Matt Campbell is a phenomenal coach. But, I mean, doesn't Iowa State and Iowa get buried by this?
Yeah, Iowa and Iowa State. Well, let me say this, Eric. So if you look at the history of Iowa and Iowa State, do they clamor for championships every year?
No.
So they're really in the same boat. They don't have to go out and spend tons of money for kids. They can keep their how should I say, their framework, their plan of developing. Maybe get a couple of those kids and pay them a little bit of money, but it's a fan base that doesn't say like Ohio State and Alabama. It's a fan base that doesn't say we need a championship every single year. We need playoffs every year. So they're still in that, how should I say it? We can win 7, 8, 9 games and everybody's going to be happy.
Right.
So you don't really have to go out and compete against Ohio State. You know what I'm saying?
The challenge, I think you're right. The challenge is still the same because I think what Matt Campbell has done is he takes those 3-star guys.
Right.
And by the time they leave Iowa State, they might be on a draft board. They might be on a,
the framework, the plan is still in place.
Doesn't change.
It doesn't change. No.
Yeah. It's actually probably easier on a Matt Campbell or a Kirk Ferentz because there's no way you're competing to sign that kid for $4 million.
It really is. If you think about it,
they
don't have to find all these boosters to give them a bunch of money to win a national championship, right?
But I will tell you, as an alumni of Iowa State, I did get an email from the athletic department saying we're looking to raise $20 million more.
Well,
so there goes your 5 bags of seed corn.
Yeah. Well, Eric, here's why. Because now the athletic departments can give I think $21 million to the NIL. So now you're Jamie Pollard, you're Beth Getz. You have to give your $21 million to the pool now to get people to pay people.
Yep.
They don't want to do that.
Right.
Well, then they got to look at other sports. Do we keep all these sports? Where does that offset? So that's the challenge. Because they're not going to be able to say, no, we're not going to give that $21 million to our players.
Right.
They have to do that across the board.
So
that's why they're asking you for more money.
Matt, you golfed with Matt that day you were here, and one of the things we've talked about this at length too. He's worried about Iowa and Iowa State being, farm systems for blue bloods more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And, I obviously worry about it too, is, all of a sudden a receiver that slipped under the radar, Matt Campbell has there for a couple of years. And, they talk about, coaches are mad about players being talked to and all those types of things kind of by other players and this and that. We've talked about this, that we're worried about a good player at Iowa or a good player at Iowa State getting poached by some of these teams that can throw a bunch of money at them where an Iowa or Iowa State can't. So, I mean, what do you see that?
Iowa usually has their quarterback poached.
Yeah.
I think we laughed about that day golf, and we don't know if Chuck had any more eligibility left.
Oh, man.
Hey, if he got the right agent, he could find him another year of eligibility the way it is right now.
So bringing this back to the UFL then, what we're seeing in college football with the NIL, do you see any of this affecting the UFL in any way yet, or?
No. I mean, we're just gonna, we're gonna get those guys that, again, want to keep the dream alive or just got cut. The NFL the NFL is a humbling equalizer. Let's put it that way. So there's only 32 of them.
Yeah, Chuck. Another thing I really like about the UFL is, like you said, the players. When Birmingham was in Canton for the second USFL championship game, we flew up there, and I told my buddy, I said, I think this is where the team's going to stay, and he said, why? I said, bro, I booked us the nicest hotel in Canton, and sure enough, Moose was there, Skip was there, all the coaches were there, Birmingham Stallions were there, and so we got to hang out with them before the game and after the game. And I'm going to tell you what, I mean, we partied with them to 2 or 3 in the morning after they won a championship. And every one of those guys is just like me, Ed, and Eric, and you just sitting here like at a bar talking football. I mean, they're so accessible. They're so thankful that we're trying to spread the word and help grow the league. And dude, it's something that everybody, if you're a football fan, you really need to check out the UFL, because they go out of their way to hang out with you and
absolutely, yeah. And we share the stadium with Birmingham, and those guys are great. I mean, it's Skip does a great job, obviously, and his staff. I mean, it's all about promotion. We're all about promotion of the league and promotion of our players, trying to get our players in a position where they can keep their dream alive. I mean, that's. We want to win, and don't get me wrong, but the promotion of the players is a big part of it. It's a huge part of it.
So having said that, you bring up a good point, promotion of the players. Mike in the comment line brings up a good point. Has the UFL ever discussed the possibility of having like the equivalent of a Pro Bowl, where they take so many players off of each team and actually have a game like they could have XFL versus USFL in a Pro Bowl game?
Good question, Ed. No, that's never been that I know of. Maybe they've discussed it privately, but I have not heard about it. But it could be viable for sure.
I think it'd be great for the players. I think it would be,
you
have a Pro Bowl now, you're bringing what it could be voted on or however they want to do it, the best of the best from the teams, bringing them together and playing in a game. I mean, to me, we were talking about it, I don't know, last week or the week before on the podcast, and I was like, that's a great idea.
It could be easily done because they're all housed in Arlington, in Dallas area. I mean, all 8 teams are there. So, it could easily be done. I mean, you go to our stadium, Choctaw Stadium, and have it there. That's a good idea.
Eric, we could probably, as he can tell already, we could keep him here all night. But
hey, Ed, it's only 10 o'clock. We're going to midnight right now. I got to go to bed, guys.
So we really want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh,
it was awesome.
This is a quick 2 hours for us. Oh, before I forget, Coach, do you want to give a plug for the Iowa Sports Foundation?
Oh yeah, thank you, Eric. Yeah, the Iowa Sports Foundation is I run. It's a nonprofit health and wellness, sports and recreation statewide in Iowa, and we're going through our winter games right now, and we encourage all of Iowa. We have 99 counties of participants. We're really proud of that. But we're going to gear up for summer games. So go to your iowagames.org and sign up for summer games, because that'll be the next big thing starting in June. So We'll open that up March 1. So we're excited about that. But yeah, we're fired up about everything we do.
One last thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up before we let you go. Last September, I just wanted to let you guys know, after we had that tournament, they come out with the most valuable golfers for that day. And
that is right there.
That's
a good man doing in that picture.
Yeah. Now, Coach, I know you did something for the first time. You deck golfed.
I what?
When we played deck golf, when we threw the golf balls off the deck.
Oh yeah, deck golf. I love deck golf.
Yeah,
that was the first time I've ever done that. That was great.
Yeah. So we did have a first for Coach playing deck golf off of the deck there at the clubhouse and everything. But
you guys were fun. I enjoyed it. If you want to do it again, let me know.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, like I said, we appreciate your time. This was 2 hours this was great. I mean, we were actually nervous, Coach, because we're like, man, we've had a great time with you, golf and everything, but we want this to be fun for you too. And I hope you enjoyed it because this was great.
Oh, loved it.
One more NIL question, Coach. One more, and I'll leave you alone. I'll be quiet. If you got a phone call tomorrow, just a Division I, whoever, wanting you to take the job as a head football coach and you handle the NIL and all that, would you take it? Would you be willing to take it?
No.
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so.
No. No. I mean, it'd be guys, it's really challenging for those coaches right now at all levels, at any sport. It's just it's a young man's game, everybody. It's a young man's game.
Yes. And with that, thank you again. Hopefully sometime down the road we can have you on again, but we really enjoyed it, Coach.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Coach.
Love it, guys.
Appreciate your time.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Coach.
I'll expect a check in the mail soon, okay?
6 figures, baby. 6 figures. It might have a decimal in it, but it'll be 6 figures.
Just send me a 6-pack. That's all I need, guys.
or a pallet of seed corn. Either one.
Yeah. Right, that'll be worth more than the beer. Thanks, Coach.
See you guys.
You bet. Take care.
That was awesome.
Oh man, I could have talked to him for 2 more hours. I mean,
I had to ask him that question because he's got the same opinion of NIL as I do. I just had to ask him that last question.
And having a guy, I mean, you think about it, won a state championship in high school, played, college football, was a starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes, was in a 1-versus-2 game and they won it. I mean, and then went to the NFL, has been coach at the college level, now coaching at the U. I mean, he won a national championship with Oklahoma in 2000. Like, the guy has seen so much, and to be able to have 2 hours with him, I mean, golfing with him was great. I had the pleasure of talking to him twice, once in Des Moines and then when he came here. But I mean, just the knowledge and the experiences that he have that us and our listeners would never have. Just to pick his brain I just love it.
And that's why, so many coaches like Falcon mentioned, the Michigan head coach, Skip in Birmingham. Skip was contacted numerous times. They really like coaching this league. They really enjoy it. Coach Stoops keeps coming back. I mean, look at Wade Phillips. You just don't have to deal with the prima donnas of the NFL and now the madness of college football.
Yeah. And you look at the names in the UFL. Wade Phillips, Wisenhunt now at Memphis, Stoops in Arlington, back in St. Louis. I mean, there's Skip Holtz in Birmingham. There's so many good coaches in this league. And then you got the offensive coordinators, the defensive coordinators that people would know. It's crazy that more people don't or are not attracted to the UFL, like I think they would be.
It's growing. I keep up with the platforms, and it's growing. What's hurt spring football before and gave us black eyes is the past. And I know, again, you guys wasn't too familiar with the AAF of 2019, but
Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. That still has a lasting effect on spring football, and it's just going to take time. It's just taking time, but it is growing. Absolutely. I can't wait to see the ratings this year.
Yeah, and I do agree, and I'm glad he said this because I'm hoping he's correct that the UFL he believes is here to stay. So I mean that's a real good sign. You know, if he wouldn't say that if he didn't believe it. So I mean, you know, hats off, you know, for Coach taking his time, talk to us, and we hope everybody listening, you know, enjoyed it because as much as we did. I mean, we could talk for 2 more hours about football.
I may not have golfed worth a damn that day, but I sure had fun keeping his Bloody Mary full.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and he was, you know, just the stories and the experiences and he, you know, he was so much fun on the golf course that day that, I mean, I hope we can get him back. I hope we can get him back during the season and just kind of, you know, and now he's been on, so we can say friend of the show. I hope so.
Yeah. So
we were his first podcast. We were his first podcast ever. So.
You're not first, you're last.
That's right. That's right.
So next week we're going to have the normal crew back, and we're going to get
Super
into
Bowl
the Super
time.
Bowl because we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Only one more game left to go that we get to do the big prediction on. And other than that, the college and NFL is going to be a wrap, and it's full attention to the UFL
time.
So having said that, everybody have a good rest of your week, and we will see you again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. Good night, everybody.
And that's the bottom line.